Okay, just before we open up the meeting, I'm going to turn it over to our Director of Economic Development, Curtis Ty, for a quick announcement.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to introduce Emily Ripert. She's our new communications officer. She's joining the team. So what I'd like to highlight is that there's an opportunity for anybody that wants to highlight community events, or if council wants to promote anything within the town, email marketingcommunications@ingersoll.ca, and that'll go to our team. So it'll either go to Emily or Ashley Rooney, our marketing officer, and they'll promote it from within. They've both been doing a great job as a team, highlighting all the great things that are going on in Ingersoll, and I think you'll notice some further enhancements to our communications as a result of Emily joining the team. So I'd like to welcome her to the team, and thank you very much for the time to introduce her.
Thank you very much, and welcome. So with that, I will now call the regular meeting of July 14th, 2025 to order at 6 p.m. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interests? Seeing none, I will now call on Councillor Hughes for the consent agenda, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you. Moved by myself, Councillor Hughes, seconded by Councillor Van Kooten-Bossens, that the items contained in the July 14th, 2025 consent agenda be adopted as presented.
Thank you very much. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And I will call Councillor Van Kooten-Bossens for the minutes of the June 9th meeting, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Wilson that the minutes from the June 9th, 2025 regular meeting of Council be adopted as presented.
Thank you. Any discussion on those? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And Deputy Mayor Wilson, the June 23rd minutes, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Bowman, that the minutes from the June 23rd, 2025 special meeting of Council be adopted as presented.
Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay. That takes us down to our delegations presentations at 6 p.m. I'd like to call on our Detachment Board Chair, Scott Davis, to introduce Inspector Hymers, please. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. And how do we bring up the one slide?
Oh, sorry, I was told you didn't want the slides up. There you go.
Thank you. Mayor Petrie, Deputy Mayor Wilson, and Council. I'd like to take a few minutes before Inspector Hymer speaks. I'd like to share with you my appreciation to the fellow board members as we implement our roles and responsibilities under the Community Safety and Policing Act and execute our mandate. I'd like to thank the board members for their continued work adhering to our guiding principles of respect, patience, and curiosity as we increase our collaboration with various partners in the town of Ingersoll, the county of Oxford, with whom we share the goal of a safe community. Recently, we reached out to community groups with the assistance of staff and initiated a community survey. Board member Taj Bra has assisted in collating and summarizing the responses. The highest priority items that came back were online safety, social media for children, bullying, human trafficking, and intimate partner violence. The community groups who responded have been offered an opportunity to meet with the board starting in September. As chair and on behalf of the board, I continue to be appreciative of staff's assistance and guidance as we continue to move forward. I'll now turn over to the inspector. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Council, Your Worship, I am very pleased to be able to present the 2024 Detachment Board Annual Report. Before I get into the details of the report, I just want to let you know why it's at a detachment level this year as opposed to specific to the municipality. There's several reasons for that. First, not all detachment boards, unlike the Ingersoll board, are functional as of yet. Some don't have members named, others don't have proper names for the detachments. As well, adjustments are currently being made with respect to data collection and data reporting that will support municipal level information sharing. Third one is because of these, the organization made the decision to ensure consistency across the province. There would be consistent format and content. The last one is that because this detachment board report addresses and responds to our current action plan, our 2023-2025 action plan, which was detachment level results, that's the last reason why it's at a detachment level. In saying that, it is anticipated that in 2025 you will get individualized municipal data as well as data at a county level so you can see yourself as a comparator. I, however, during my presentation will be giving Ingersoll specific data while I am speaking, so you'll be able to see at the county level but also at your level for your municipality. As noted in the report, Oxford OPP continues to maintain strong relationships with its community stakeholders, and we are continue to develop co-response models that focus on harm reduction, prevention, risk integration strategies with the goal and the focus of ensuring that we provide improved well-being for anybody that works, lives, or transits through Oxford County. For example, in 2018, we implemented what's called the MHEART team, which stands for Mental Health Engagement and Response Team. This was a collaboration between ourselves, CMHA, so Canadian Mental Health Association, and Woodstock Police. And since its inception, we have assisted through our MHEART team, we've assisted over thousands of people that have been experiencing some type of mental health crisis. I'm very, very proud of the work that we've done in that respect. And the thing about that is CMHA hires these individuals. They're civilians, they're mental health clinicians, they partner with us as the police. So we are getting the expertise when we're dealing with calls for service where we don't have that expertise to respond. Coupled with that, Oxford OPP has a very robust transfer of care protocol that's done in collaboration with the 3 county hospitals, including Alexandra Hospital here in Ingersoll and Woodstock Police. It's produced great results because we minimize our involvement with people that we apprehend under the Mental Health Act through this protocol, and we maximize the ability for the individual that we've apprehended to get the right help at the right time by the right person. So that's been very, very advantageous for us. With respect to some of the data that's contained in the report, and this is where I'll talk county, but then I'll also talk specific to this municipality. Compared to 2023, throughout the county that we police, there's been a 9% reduction in property crimes when you look at it compared to 2023. I did a review in March of this year. Ingersoll, for that same time period, is up 3.5% in property crimes. However, when you look at it over a 3-year period, 2022 to 2023, 2024, you're actually down 9% in terms of property crime in that time period. If you want to look at the actual data, 361 actual property crimes in 2022, down to 329 in 2024. Sorry. There's been an increase in provincial and federal or criminal charges that we've laid. When you look at 2023 compared to 2024, that increased by 11%. When you look at that same time frame for Ingersoll, the increase was 8%, which also includes an increase in charges. However, if I go back to 2022, the increase is 33%. When you look at these in actual numbers, realizing how long that criminal investigations can take, we laid 717 charges in 2022 in this municipality. We laid 948 charges in 2024. Over and above that, in 2023, we issued 379 e-ticket warnings. What an e-ticket warning is, I stop a vehicle, for example, speeding, I make a decision to give the person a warning. No longer do we say on the side of the road, don't do that again. As opposed to giving the person a warning verbally, I will actually give them what looks like a ticket, but it's not a ticket. What is significant about that is that that is then tracked in our RMS system. So the next person that stops that person, if they're speeding, will know that on the 14th of July, 2025, citizen XYZ was stopped for speeding. So the officer that deals with that person next, hopefully there is no next, but if they deal with that person next, they have a better understanding of what decision that they need to make. So in 2023, we issued 379 e-ticket warnings, as I said, but by 2024, we issued 537, which is an increase of about 42%. We've also increased throughout Oxford County Foot Patrol. This is a principal goal that I have, to get ourselves visible out in the communities. Throughout the county, we increased Foot Patrol between 2023 and 2024 by approximately 102%. With this municipality specifically, we increased Foot Patrol by 50%. When you look at it in terms of actual hours, we did 614 Foot Patrol hours in 2023, and in 2024, we did 918 Foot Patrol hours. When you look at that in terms of days, that equates to 38 days. If you look at that in terms of weeks, that's 5.4 weeks of continuous Foot Patrol. Over and above that, my auxiliaries, they volunteered in 2023, they volunteered 649 hours for events in Ingersoll. 2024, they did 1,225 auxiliary volunteer hours. That equates to 51 24-hour days, or just over 7 weeks of volunteer service. This year to date, they've done 774 hours. They will be participating in Pizza Fest, that I know is coming up. They've participated in Canada Day. They've helped out at Remembrance Day. I am always impressed with any person that's willing to put on a uniform and do it for free, to volunteer their time, to expose themselves to patrols with us, to expose themselves to the same types of risks that we expose ourselves to. And the other thing I want to note is that my unit right now is only about 13 people. So those hours are being conducted by 13 people throughout the county, including in Ingersoll. We have increased our use of technology. All of our cruisers, except for our older cruisers, have in-car camera. We have what's called automatic license plate readers in our cruisers. Why that's significant is so we could be driving by an individual driving the other way, and if it's a suspended driver, it will alert the officer. If we have a Amber Alert, we can plug that into our computer, and if the vehicle that is carrying that child that's abducted, we can, that ALPR will alert to that. If we're wanting somebody on a Canada-wide warrant for a very serious offense, we can program our cars to find that. We also, by the end of this year, will be implementing body worn cameras throughout Oxford OPP. So this, from my perspective, my chair, this enhances our ability to provide disclosure to the courts. It enhances our transparency because there is an actual independent, objective record of our interactions with the public that we deal with, either through in-car camera or through the body-worn camera when we get it. And it also improves and enhances officer and public safety through items such as our ALPRs. In Oxford last year, we realized a 4% increase in mental health related calls compared to 2023. Interestingly, in this municipality actually went down. 157 mental health related calls in Ingersoll in 2023, 155 mental health related calls in 2024. What I have done in response to that, we used to run an embedded model who, when anybody was working, they could partner up with the mental health clinician. We found that that wasn't being an effective tool to maximize the use of the mental health clinician. So what I have done is I've established a single point of contact Constable Koopman, who is my community mobilization officer. He actually takes the MHeart clinician out and responds to those mental health related calls for service. As seen in the report, when I developed the action plan for the 2023-2025 action plan, I consulted with all of the then PSB chairs, including the former PSB chair of Ingersoll. Based on those consultations, I made commitments in 3 categories that were already determined by the organization, and then that is in crime. So I won't go through all of the details unless council wants, but I'll give a high-level overview of what we've done with respect to that. So with respect to crime, one of the things that we want to continue to ensure is that we're providing adequate and effective and meaningful supports to victims of intimate partner violence. Being able to make sure that we provide the right connections to the right community groups to support that person who's going through a very traumatic, the victim that's going through a very traumatic time. What I have done is I've established 2 detachment abuse issues investigators that provide that extra level of support over and above what the frontline officer will do in terms of investigating. If there's charges to be laid, lay the charges, arrest the individual, potentially hold the individual for bail. Now we've got 2 officers in the background that provide that extra support for that person. The other thing we have done is we are trying to reduce human trafficking and reduce victimization with respect to sexual violence. So my members receive training on human trafficking indicators from our crime unit. All my sergeants have or will be receiving training on the Oxford County Sexual Assault Protocol, which is a group signature with various vested stakeholders that deal with those matters. With respect to roadways, waterways, and trails, one thing that I am very, very passionate about is trying to find ways to reduce impaired charges through education and enforcement. This municipality, in and of itself, in 2022 had 33 impaired charges, in 2023, 40, in 2024, 36, year to date, 27. So if that continues, this municipality is on pace to have 54 impaired charges laid. Across the county, we've laid 92 impaired charges year to date. So you can do the math in terms of the percentages, which is approximately 30% of the total. So what I have done is I've directed my media officer for any impaired charge to do a press release to give the details when it's reasonable and feasible to provide the individual's name, to provide the name. There are certain times where we can't provide a name. The other thing that we did, and actually it was in consultation with the Ingersoll board, we developed a social media called 911. People seem to be reticent to call 911 when they think they have a suspected impaired driving. I can't overemphasize enough of the importance of calling us as soon as you see it. The sooner that the individual observes the offense or perceived offense and contacts our comm center through 911, the quicker we can be on the scene, the greater the likelihood of us finding that individual and arresting and keeping the streets of Ingersoll safe. So the last thing that I've done is I've made a concerted effort for my members to make sure that we are doing ride programs. In 2023, we did 168 ride programs. Last year, it dipped by 14% down to 143. However, we've now done 97 year to date in Ingersoll. And if we continue down that path, we will do 194 ride programs in this municipality. So I am very happy with that involvement of my members. The last commitment that we made was with respect to community well-being. I already talked at length about our MHeart program and our transfer of care program, so I won't go into that. However, with respect to things that we can do in terms of reducing victimization through presentations or through auxiliary activities, my community engagement officer is just a phone call away. If a community group wants a presentation on fraud, because we are seeing an uptick in online frauds, or on mischiefs, or crime prevention activities, or on drug prevention, we can make that occur. We just need to put that individual in contact with the person that's making the ask. Our auxiliaries, Like I mentioned, they've been involved in parades, they've been involved in community events, but one thing that they also do is they are the leads, they do the Lock It or Lose It program. As a reminder, what the Lock It or Lose It program is we'll go around to parking lots, our auxiliaries, and they'll look into vehicles to see if an individual left belongings inside the vehicle that are visible. Were the doors locked? If the auxiliary officers see that, then they will just leave a card in the windshield just saying, you know, this is what we observed at this time, at this date. They won't open the door, they won't go into private property. We've taken that step further, that we will actually go into subdivisions, which we did recently in Ingersoll, and send our auxiliaries to do Lock It or Lose It programs in a specific subdivision where we know that we've had a rash of car break-ins to do the same thing. The other thing that our auxiliaries do, which is amazing, and it's free of charge, and it's open to both business owners and homeowners, is called Safeguard. And that's a fancy way for doing crime prevention through environmental design. And what that is the auxiliary will meet with the owner, business or personal owner, and look at things to see how they can, we refer to it as target harden, or how can they reduce the chance of them being victimized, like putting lights, trimming bushes that might be obstructing views. So that's one thing that they do. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, our auxiliaries went through the entire downtown core in Ingersoll and offered that service to the business owners, and I know a significant amount of them actually accepted that. So, subject to any questions that the council may have, that is the annual report.
Thank you very much. Questions from council, the delegation? Councillor Hughes.
Not so much a question as a thank you very much for the presentation. It's great to see the report come through finally, and to read all that, and to remind council that last month we did put on the agenda the 2024 December results for review by council, and if there is any questions for the commander, that you'd be able to ask them tonight. But beyond that, thank you, gentlemen. It was a great presentation, great information to see. Unfortunately, some things are on the decline. Fortunately, some things are on the decline, but unfortunately, other things are on the increase. So hopefully that'll all level out and we'll have a safer community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further members of council with questions? I just have one. Could you highlight the importance, you highlighted it during suspected impairs, but citizens calling in any suspicious activity, that sort of thing, to try to explain the analytics side of your business and how that works?
Thank you for the question. So there's a couple points I'd like to raise. First of all, first and foremost, if you believe it's an emergency, it is not imposing upon our dispatchers to call 911. If you think it's serious enough to call 911, please call 911. If it's a non-emergent call, please use our 1-888 number. But with respect to your specific question, we rely 100% on the analytics, right? Because we need to, like I mentioned about the mental health clinician program, we also need to be at the right place for the right time at the right reason. So if there is a preponderance of criminal activity, and let's just say if that's from vehicles in this parking lot out there, we need people to call, because then that gives us the data. I will forward that information to our analyst. She will then make a decision, does it warrant a focus patrol, which means that if we know from 6 to 10 in the morning, every morning, that people are rummaging through these cars, then we can set up a focus patrol, both covertly, if we want to or need to, and overtly through uniform presence. And we can establish ways to reduce crime based on that analytics. So yes, it is very important, Your Worship, that people call us so we can use that data in order to influence how we better police Ingersoll.
Thank you very much. Certainly, on behalf of council, certainly want to thank you for coming, and certainly want to thank Chair Davis and the rest of the board for all the work that they've done in setting up the new board and continuing the work of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councillor Hudson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Bowman, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive the presentation from Inspector Hymers, Oxford OPP, as information.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, with that, we will now move on to special staff reports. The first one is CP 2025-204, and I will turn that over to Heather Sinclair, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. Council heard applications for an extension and amendment to a draft-approved residential plan of subdivision in the Oxford Village subdivision at their public meeting in June. The requested extension would extend the draft approval for the subdivision for an additional 3 years, and the proposed amended subdivision plan will facilitate the creation of 83 new lots for single detached dwellings and 96 new parcels for street fronting townhouses for a total of 179 new residential parcels, whereas 104 residential parcels were previously approved as part of the original application. The amended draft plan of subdivision largely will reflect what was previously approved, which includes the extension of Winders Trail and the creation of 3 new local streets, including a future road extension to Walker Road to the east and a walkway block to the woodlands to the west, as well as the existing open space block, which contains an existing woodlands, which will remain unchanged. The subject lands are located to the south of Moffat Avenue and are approximately 9.2 hectares or 22.7 acres in size and are currently vacant. The subject lands were part of a previous residential draft plan of subdivision that was granted approval in 2007. However, this specific phase of the subdivision lapsed in 2010, and a subsequent approval was granted in 2022, which lapsed in May of this year, and as such, that's why the request for extension has been included as part of this process. An official plan amendment has also been requested to establish a special policy area for the subject lands to increase the maximum net residential density from 30 units per hectare to 36 units per hectare to facilitate the proposed number of residential parcels. And an application for zone change has also been requested to rezone the subject lands from residential type 1 zone and residential type 2 zone to 3 separate R2 zones for single detached dwellings and a special R3 zone for the proposed street fronting townhouses. And each of those zones will have a number of site-specific provisions, which will include lots 1 through 39 and 77 through 82 on the west side of the property, or the west side of the developable area, for a reduction from the minimum lot area requirement from 345 square meters to 300 square meters, as well as a reduction from the lot frontage requirement from 11.5 meters to 10.3 meters, and an increase to the maximum lot coverage allowance from 40% lot area to 43%, as well as a separate R2 zoning on the north side of the property for lots 62 to 76 and lot 83, which would have a site-specific provision to reduce the minimum rear yard depth from 7.5 meters to 7.4 and increase the maximum lot coverage allowance from 40% to 47% lot area, while the lands on the east side of the property would have a site-specific special zoning which would incorporate a combination of those 2 zones, those special provisions. Lots 84 through 179, which are located in the middle portion of the draft plan, would be zoned at special R3 with site-specific provisions to allow for a reduction to the minimum interior side yard width for an end unit from 3 meters to 2.75 meters, an increase to the maximum lot coverage allowance from 40% lot area to 55%, and a reduction to the minimum landscaped open space requirement from 30% to 25%. So staff have reviewed the proposal and are of the opinion that it is consistent with the policy direction of the provincial planning statement, which is to facilitate a mix of housing options and increased residential densities for the town to meet projected needs for future and current residents. Further, staff are of the opinion that the proposed increase to the density will efficiently utilize existing land within the town's boundary, as well as existing infrastructure and public service facilities. With respect to the official plan policies, planning staff are satisfied that the minor increase to the maximum allowable net residential density will continue to meet the intent of the official plan. Specifically, the development will continue to facilitate a low-density housing form that's considered by the official plan through those proposed single detached dwellings and townhouses. And the increased density will result in a more efficient use of the land. Further, no changes or any new development is proposed for the west side of the subject lands, which will remain within the environmental protection designation and the open space zoning. So overall, staff are satisfied that the subdivision design, which hasn't deviated significantly from what has been approved, will continue to meet these policy considerations. And it is noted that an information package has been included as a condition of approval with respect to the environmental lands on the west side of the property to inform future residents on the west side of those environmental features. And the recommended conditions of draft approval will also include the implementation of a tree preservation and restoration plan to the satisfaction of the town. So in support of the requested amendments, the applicant has also submitted a traffic impact study and a functional servicing report. The traffic impact study did conclude that traffic volumes will remain within the range intended for the local road network, and that the local intersections are anticipated to continue to operate satisfactorily with the proposed amendments. Further, town staff have reviewed the updates to the stormwater management plan in consultation with the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority and are satisfied that the requested increase in density can be appropriately accommodated through the existing infrastructure or through required upgrades, which will be reviewed in further detail as part of the detailed design process in order to clear the conditions of draft plan approval to the satisfaction of both the town and the Conservation Authority. Staff are also generally supportive of the requested amendments to the zoning bylaw as it will facilitate the requested intensification and provide an increased range of parcel sizes for the town while maintaining sufficient size for an appropriate building envelope. And town staff have reviewed the impact that the proposed intensification will have on the stormwater management facilities and are satisfied that this can be appropriately accommodated through the detailed design process. With respect to public consultation, one letter in opposition of the proposal was received from the public, which has been attached to the agenda for council's information. This letter outlined concerns with respect to the proposed density impacting the character of the neighborhood. One additional comment was received from a neighboring property owner to the east who was looking for confirmation that the proposed development would not impede any future development potentials for their lands. And one oral submission was received at the June 9th public meeting of council with questions regarding the future extension of Walker Road and whether there would be any changes to the design of the stormwater management facilities. So in response to this, town staff have commented that there would be no modifications required to the existing pond to accommodate that there will be modifications required to the existing pond to accommodate the required additional storage and volume. However, all modifications and retrofit activities would be limited to inside the existing pond footprint, which may require some retaining walls and fencing, but overall it would be limited to the inside of the pond limits. One question was received from council at the meeting as well with respect to cash in lieu of parkland, and I can confirm that the clerk's department has indicated that they will be requesting cash in lieu of parkland for this application. So overall, planning staff are supportive of the requested amendments and the extension to the draft approved plan and are recommending that council approve the requested zoning amendments in principle and advise county council that they are supportive of the requested extension and the draft plan amendment, as well as the amendment to the official plan to increase the residential net density. Thanks, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Questions from council on the report. Councillor Hughes, please.
Thank you. Great report, Heather. Through you, Mayor, the work that needs to be done to the stormwater management pond, Who's going to be on the hook to pay for that?
Through your worship to Councillor Hughes, that would be the responsibility of the developer.
Further questions? Seeing none, Councillor Bowman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Hughes, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive report number 2025-204 as information, and that the Council of the Town of Ingersoll advise Oxford County Council that the town supports the request to extend draft plan of subdivision approval for subdivision application SB 21-17-6 as submitted by Freure Village on Clair Creek, Inc., Stantec Consulting Limited, for lands legally described as Part Lot 18, Concession 1, West Oxford, in the town of Ingersoll, municipally known as 28 Moffat Ave, for an additional 3-year period. And that Council of the Town of Ingersoll advise Oxford County Council that the town supports the requested amendment to the draft plan of subdivision approval for the subdivision application SB 21-17-6 for lands legally described as Part Lot 18, Concession 1, West Oxford, in the town of Ingersoll, municipally known as 28 Moffat Ave, to facilitate the creation of 83 lots for single detached dwellings, 96 lots for street fronting townhouses, the extension of Winders Trail, 3 new local streets, and a walkway block, as submitted by Freure Village on Clair Creek, Incorporated, Stantec Consulting Limited. And that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll advise Oxford County Council that the town supports the official plan amendment application, file number OP 24-10-6, as submitted by Freure Village on Clair Creek, Incorporated, Stantec Consulting Limited, for lands legally known as Part Lot 18, Concession 1, West Oxford, in the town of Ingersoll, municipally known as 28 Moffat Ave, to establish a site-specific policy within the low-density residential designation for the subject lands to permit a maximum net residential density of 36 units HA, 15 units AC. And that the Council of the Town of Ingersoll approve in principle the zoning application file number ZN6-24-04 as submitted by Freure on Clair Creek Incorporated, Stantec Consulting Limited, to rezone the subject lands being legally described as Part Lot 18, Concession 1, West Oxford, from residential Type 1 Zone R1 to residential Zone 2, Zone R2, to special residential Type 2 Zones R2-28, R2-31, and R2-32, and special residential Zone 3 Zone R3-39 to facilitate the proposed residential subdivision.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on whether the councillor should read that again? No, any other any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I can fully support this. I think that as time goes by, we've seen the need for increased density, and this is this example of that, changing times and different housing types. So I think this makes sense, and it's better use of the land. That same parcel of land is now going to facilitate many more housing opportunities in a different type for different people. So I think that's something that I certainly support. For the discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. That takes us on to consideration of procedure bylaw requirements, report C-026-25, and I'll turn that right over to our clerk, please.
Thank you. So as Council will recall, at the June 23rd special meeting, Council requested a follow-up report to address 2 outstanding items from the draft procedure bylaws. So camera use during electronic participation, and then personal device use during closed sessions. So I'll just quickly talk about electronic participation and then electronic participation and camera requirements. So I did a jurisdictional review that is attached to the report. The review found that some municipalities require members to stay on camera, but most are either silent or express it as a preference. Given this and the conversation that occurred at the June 23rd meeting, which was a great conversation among some members, staff are recommending a balanced approach, being that members be required to keep their cameras on unless extenuating circumstances prevent it. This maintains transparency but allows flexibility for personal or technical issues. As I've noted in the report, if council wishes to tie video use to voting, meaning a vote cast without video would be considered a member abstaining from the vote and therefore counted in the negative. That would have to be clearly spelled out in the bylaw. Also, if there are strict requirements for cameras being on, if that's the way council wants to go, then I would also recommend, as noted in the report, that we remove reference to audio only being permitted as electronic participation. Secondly, with respect to use of personal devices in closed sessions, the jurisdictional scan found that only Oxford County explicitly bans the use of personal devices in closed sessions. While that approach is understandable from a confidentiality standpoint, it may be overly restrictive given members' family and professional obligations, again, as discussed at the June 23rd meeting. Staff believe our current clause, which prohibits recording or broadcasting closed sessions, strikes the right balance. It's enforceable in principle and accounts for the difficulty of effectively policing a full ban of council members. So we are recommending that the bylaw be updated to reflect that camera requirement as noted with the exceptions, and that this updated draft be brought back for final review at the next meeting with notice of intent of passing the procedure bylaw at that time. So it then would be passed at a subsequent meeting, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much. Questions on the report? Councillor Hughes, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, to the clerk. A couple of things that I was reading through this and I was looking at, and the one that pops out initially is in regards to attending closed session meetings via Zoom. How do we, how do we ensure that there isn't anybody else in the room when the member who is participating by Zoom is participating in the closed session meeting?
So there are provisions in the procedure bylaw that state that the individual must be in a room by themselves. That ensures privacy and no one else can be in that room. In terms of assurances, it's really hard to police. I mean, someone could pop in the background. So there's those requirements that are established in the procedure bylaw, but ultimately we don't have a way to really make sure that nobody else is there.
Gotcha. Okay. I agree with the no audio only, and that there should be virtual visual participation in the meetings. I think that is a 100% for me. We talked about the closed sessions. Now, when we bring, you said personal technology into closed session meetings, what if we access the agenda through our personal cell phone or a tablet or that type of thing? Would that be considered not allowed?
I believe most of you have corporate laptops. So that would be the expectation going into closed session. That being said, when we send out agendas, including closed session agendas, they're sent by link, and then the closed session is a secure link, but that doesn't prevent you from opening that up on personal devices at home.
Further questions?
I have one more.
Go ahead.
And finally, do we have I'll say a limit on the number of times somebody can participate with on Zoom with our regular meetings?
That was not included in the draft procedure bylaw. It wasn't a request of council when we did the review on June 23rd, so there is nothing in the procedure bylaw that speaks to that at present.
Follow up to that. Did you consider any of that when looking at other municipalities and their bylaws?
For this report, I did not. I was going off the direction provided by council at the June 23rd meeting, so I was just strictly looking at requirement for members to have their camera on for the duration of the meeting, and then use of personal devices, or having personal devices present in the closed session.
Just from a chair's perspective, I don't know how the procedure bylaw would be able to be enforced on that item, because the Municipal Act doesn't speak to being a limit on how many times someone could be. So I don't know how council would enforce. I know Zoris has that. They have no more than 3 consecutive months with authorized to do so. I don't know how that would be enforced from a council's perspective. Maybe the clerks could add to that, but it's one of those ones that's, we would hope people would adhere to all of these, but when it comes down to the procedural, it's up to the chair to try to enforce that during the meeting. That one becomes very hard because every member has a right to attend a meeting. So it becomes difficult to try to enforce something. Again, I agree with the language that's in there now that, okay, the expectation is that people will be in person if possible.
My concern with that is myself. I'm semi-retired. I could move to Florida from December to April, May, and not be around Ingersoll at all, but still participate virtually. I'm thinking on a constituency situation that I'm not in town. So yes, they could get a hold of me via email, via WhatsApp, via technology, but I'm not here. I'm not representing here.
I would say that's something for the voters to deal with. That's the recourse there. I don't know if it's a council procedure item. I think rather than saying, this is something that we're going to try to agree to, and the expectation of council would be, if the way it is now, that everybody try to be here in person, and there's those circumstances where they can't, but it's not the norm. But there's no way to really enforce that, I don't think, with teeth, I guess. Further discussion, or sorry, questions? As we get to, Councillor Hughes, you have the motion. Are you prepared to move that?
Yeah, I am. I don't think there's any amendments that we need to make to this compared to what is written up in my motion here. Also, I'll read the motion and we can let it rise or fall on its own there. Moved by myself, Councillor Hughes, seconded by Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive staff report C-026-25 as information, and that Council directed that the 2025 draft procedure bylaw be updated to include the following: 1, language that requires members to remain on camera for the duration of any meeting in which they participate electronically, unless prevented from doing so due to extenuating circumstances. And further, that the updated bylaw be brought back to the next council meeting for final review, and that notice of intention be passed. This bylaw be given. Notice of intention to pass this bylaw be given the following. To be given following that meeting, with final consideration for passage thereafter.
Thank you very much. Discussion on that. Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. I think we'll try one more because we do have delegations and presentations at 7 p.m. But we'll go to number 3, which is C-027-25, parking at Laurie Hawkins. I'll turn that over to the clerks as well.
Thank you. This should be a fairly brief overview. So the report responds to safety concerns raised by the administration of Laurie Hawkins Public School, specifically regarding the south side of Garnet Elliott Park, parking lot located directly behind the school. The area in question, which runs along the fence line between the school and the park, is not designated or intended for parking. However, it's been used informally for student drop-offs and pickups, creating safety and traffic flow issues, as has been reported to the town. Staff are recommending that this portion of the lot be formally designated as a no parking zone. It is within our municipal land, so we can enact that no parking zone there. Signage is actually already in place, so there are no financial implications. This step simply updates our bylaw to allow enforcement to address ongoing concerns. And so we're asking council this evening to approve the designation and authorize an amendment to the consolidated traffic and parking bylaw to formalize that direction.
Thank you very much. Questions of the report? Deputy Mayor Wilson, please.
Trying to speak into the microphone. Thank you, Mayor. Through you to staff, or perhaps Councillor Van Kooten-Bossen's having experience at that school, will this just move the problem somewhere else? Because people will still need somewhere to park. So does this just move the problem to the more residential area, or does it just move traffic in a different direction?
Do you want me to? I can speak to it. I'm going to say that it's going to move people along and not have them parking there. Right now, people are utilizing it as a parking area, and all it does is congest the drive-through. If you're looking at the picture, people enter in and head north and then come around and continue on back out. And right now, there's a huge concern for kids coming in between those cars to get to their own cars. Let's be honest, there's not enough parking up there, but it helps to get people moving along and have them not parking where it's going to create possibly a child getting hit. So I sit on the Laurie Hawkins School Council, and this is something that has been a major concern for us. The principal has been very supportive of, trying to get people to move along. They have staff members out there trying to get them to move along. This gives a little bit of teeth for parking enforcement. So I'm hoping that it will result in a child not being hit at the school. So that's my 2 cents worth, but hopefully it answers your question.
Just to follow up on that, are the spots that are parking spots there, are they fully used during that time frame? Okay, so this is just overflow.
100%. If the town were to ever decide to increase the parking lot, that would probably be very appreciated up there. You have to think, this is a huge school, and there were 4 JKSK classes this year, again, and those kids have to be picked up and dropped off right from the classroom. So they need to park. They can't just kiss and drop. So when you have 28 in every one of those classes, that's a lot of kids and a lot of vehicles. It is a walking school. However, I would say that pretty much nobody walks. So there are quite, I shouldn't say that, there are quite a few that do walk, but there's a lot that do drop-offs in the morning. So it will help to hopefully keep that flow going a little bit more, and it shouldn't be used as parking. They should be parking into the parking lot, so.
Councilor Hughes.
Thank you. Through you to whomever can answer this question. Would it be better to make that a no stopping zone or a no parking zone? Because I believe the no stopping might be a little more enforceable by the OPP.
Mr. Sweetland.
Yeah, I'll be happy to take a crack at that one. I'd say whether it's more or less enforceable between the two, tough to say. I think it'd be equally enforceable. They would both be designated no stopping, no parking. It's the intent of the area. Would stopping be acceptable, or would no parking have more teeth for what the actual solution being sought is? So currently it's signed as no parking. That's not to say it couldn't change if a problem wasn't alleviated by that, but maybe it's tough to say whether the stopping would be allowable or not.
Any further questions on the report? I think that was just it. He was going to offer a response there. So, but Mr. Graves, would you like to add to that, or?
No, I think Matt handled that well. Yeah, I think we'd prefer to try the no parking at this time. If we start to get have another problem, we'll try to look at that for no stopping in the future. But
Councillor Van Kouten-Bosens, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wilson, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive staff report C-02725 as information, and that Council approve designating a portion of the Garnet Elliott Park parking lot located at 260 Wanham Street North as no parking, and further that this approval be formalized via an amendment to the Consolidated Traffic and Parking Bylaw 06-4327.
Thank you very much. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And may have asked for a recess till 7 p.m. Moved by Councillor Hughes, second by Councillor Van Kouten-Bosens. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? We are recessed till 7 p.m., which we will go into delegations presentations. Thank you. Meeting back to order, and we'll get to our delegations and presentations. The first one is from Aaron from Live Trains. Usually when I see Aaron, it's during the middle of a Live Trains update video, so this is kind of cool to see him in person. Welcome.
Hey everybody, my name's Aaron. I'm with Live Trains, and sorry, I think it was on mute. I didn't hear the beginning of that, but I was going to give you guys a quick presentation on just how it's been going.
Excellent.
That being said, I can share my screen. I'm not sure how it's set up there. If you guys already have the presentation, just let me know how to roll.
Yep, council's all been provided with your presentation, but if you'd like to, if it's easier for you, which way or the other, then we can do whatever makes it easier for you.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Let me see if there's a way to actually share my screen here. Appreciate your patience. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Okay, so guys, my name's Aaron. I'm the owner of Live Trains, and before I go too far, I just want to say thank you to Town of Ingersoll. You guys have been amazing. I think it's been a really good, mutually beneficial project, and I'll be explaining some of that here. So before we go too far, we have two cameras. I'm not sure how familiar everybody is with where they're at, but here are the screenshots of what they see. The camera on top, that's the most popular one. It's a 4K camera. It's located on top of the fire station. They're at 110 Mutual Street, overlooking the Canadian National Rail line. This camera is the one that I have a lot of data on that I'll be covering. This one allows us to move around. We can move the camera. It's what we call PTZ. Below that, we have a fixed camera, which is also very popular for rail fans because of what it looks over. It looks over the Ontario Southland Railroad. And that being said, people from literally around the world, because of the stuff that the locomotives that they're using, people actually track and love to watch. So that camera, they're going to be upgrading, I believe, the internet there in August. But this one is also a popular camera. So those are the two cameras. I'm going to move on to some of the data that I think is pretty cool to look at. So first off, I'm going to move this away real quick. There we go. All right. The data I have is coming from December 14th through May. I think in May is when I was originally planning to be able to discuss this with you guys, and that's the data I have. But it's had YouTube has given us 2.5 million impressions. An impression is that when you open up your phone or your computer, YouTube will give you the icon to click and look at a camera. It's been generated 2.5 million times, and then the impression rate of people clicking on it is 280,000, which is very good. So we'll go a little bit further into that in a second, but total watch hours, again, this is for that PTZ camera. We're looking at 46,800 hours, which equates to just under 2,000 days, which is pretty cool. Typically, any given day, we'll have between 2,500 and 4,000 people watching every day for the last 30 days at that time when we took this snapshot. Average person puts these on a computer. They're putting it on for about 20 minutes. You can see what I'm seeing here, but the most popular viewership is coming locally in Canada, and then also south of the border in the United States. And then even you can see, the United Kingdom and Germany and Brazil are also a part of it. So it's pretty cool to see that your town is getting a lot of really good snapshots for the opportunity for people to travel. We'll go a little further on that. Looking at the age demographic, you have the majority of our viewers are people that are over the age of 30. And that continues to climb, the most popular being 65 years. The reason that matters, guys, is because those are people that have income to travel and go and visit a place, disposable income. Obviously, people that are 13 years old, not so much, which we don't have too many of those people. So I think it's interesting. Now, what it has done for the city, guys, is with the amount of impressions that it has generated, you guys and us, this would have cost the city or the town $10,000 to $25,000 to get that kind of marketing, usually in traditional means. And I mean, the only thing that the township is paying for there is really just the internet. The cameras and everything were purchased on this side. So again, it's mutually beneficial that you guys are getting a really good, I would say, return on your investment. What's impressive is we have high engagement. 11.2% people actually have some kind of engagement. YouTube's historical average is only 0.65. So that's it's pretty cool to see that people are not only just watching it, but they're engaging. And that's what we love to see. I love to see that people from around the world are getting a chance to look at your city and just kind of a glimpse. And I think you guys have kind of a hallmark town, in my opinion. When it snows there, I'm south of the border here. I'm in Texas. Doesn't get too much snow here, but when I see your town, especially in the wintertime, to me it looks insanely beautiful. Which I'm not sure if you guys have watched our videos, but I think we're always talking about that, and I think a lot of people would agree. Yeah, so that's on that side, and that's really the main stuff I want to go over, and of course, open you up to questions. But anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Aaron? Deputy Mayor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. So the information around impressions and click-through rate is interesting and exciting to have, but I wonder if you have any idea of how many of those convert to actual visitors to any community where they might be engaging with the live trains cameras.
That's a great question, and this is kind of where I want to take it as well. We don't. I do not have data specifically on that, but I was, it's funny because we had this conversation. I had this conversation with someone else not too long ago about how we can track it, because the only way we can track the actual rate on that is if we look at hotels and so forth, and somehow connecting with them on where their visitors are coming from. That's the only way we can get that data. But great question. I don't have those numbers, but I'd be happy to work with you guys on how to do that. I'd be happy to do that. I think it would be advantageous for both sides.
Councilor Hughes. Good question.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. This is awesome to see, and these numbers are amazing. It's always surprising to see how many people are interested in trains, and
right.
this really just, I'm going to say, proves it. I'm going to bring out the sales side on me, and is there any opportunity in here in the live feeds where we could have rolling advertising or that type of thing in order to, again, promote the town of Ingersoll?
We could definitely explore that, and that's a great comment. The software we use has another tier that we could subscribe to that I believe gives us that capability to where we could roll banners for whatever events are going on in the city or the town, excuse me, that we could definitely take advantage of. I can get further information on what that would take, but I think that's it's very doable. Very doable. How I envision that is if you guys have events going on through the city and you want that to be, advertised to, clearly not only just the locals, but everywhere else, we'll be happy to put that on there. Absolutely.
Aaron, some of the, Mayor Petrie here, growing up here and living here, we see trains every day. It's what built Ingersoll. Can you kind of explain, give a perspective about what makes the trains that go through here special, and what people like seeing about them? Have you heard feedback from that? Obviously, we have no control over what the trains are, but besides when the dingers go down, that we have to wait for them momentarily. But that's the biggest part of the biggest hiccup we have living here as far as traffic goes. So, what's the big feed, and what's the great thing about all the trains that come through Ingersoll?
Yeah, great question. So, two things. First off, just right off the bat, what sticks out, guys, is in all of North America, you have Ontario Southland, which has some of the rarest, you guys have some of the rarest locomotives, which is a lot of what rail fans like to see, that pass through the tracks there. In fact, the majority in North America, you don't really see them pulling freight. Usually they're pulling, a few passenger cars at a museum. Elsewhere, the majority have been scrapped. So you guys have some very rare survivors, and that's why actually a lot of people chase those trains, especially the Southland trains there. Those are historic trains, and again, you will not see those type of locomotives in the grand chunk of North America. I think it'd be far and few. So that alone right there sets you guys aside from all the other locations that we have. We have locations throughout North America, and that sets you guys aside. Now, when it comes to the CN main line, that's the fast-moving freights. There you guys get a pretty wide mix of freight trains that I think a lot of enthusiasts like to see. In fact, if you see the initial cover page to the PowerPoint, those type of locomotives you simply would not see to a lot of people in the United States, and vice versa. I think that's what kind of sets live trains apart, is that you can see stuff in operation that might not be in your local backyard. I hope that answers your question. One of the main things I think that also helps, guys, is having sound, and people can hear different trains, different noises they make, the horns. That draws a lot of attention. Yeah, Southland definitely makes these cameras what they are.
Thank you very much.
And the other thing, just to add something to this, regarding the cams themselves, the streams, I'm not sure if anybody's actually looked at the chats and whatnot, but those chats are always got a lot of participants that are putting. So I think there's a sense of community on the YouTube side that I think attracts people. And that's why I think the average viewer duration for this camera is 20 minutes. That's why I think, because people can just kind of mingle and look at the sites.
Excellent. Councillor Van Koop-Bosens.
Thank you. Through you to Aaron. Aaron, this is fascinating. I didn't know that this was such a thing, but I just went to your livetrains.com, and we're not listed as one of the featured locations. Is there a reason why that we're not on there?
Are you talking about the website?
Yes, I went to livetrains.com and then clicked on location, clicked on locations, and Ingersoll doesn't come up. Houston, St. Louis, and Blue Island all come up, but Ingersoll does not. Is that just a glitch right now?
I appreciate you letting me know. Right now, I know we are working on a new website, and in the coming months we'll have it. But to be quite honest with you, I thought it was up there. I'm actually disappointed to hear that, but I will look into why that's not there and get that settled. I appreciate you calling that to my attention. I thought it was there.
Perfect. Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, on that note, and perhaps I can get with one of the contacts we have there, but I'd like to, if you guys could let us know when we have a featured location. Usually we have it go to a landing page where it can track, it can actually send the traffic that we have to you guys. If somebody wants to just send me a link of where they would like it to land at, I don't know if anything specific, but if somebody could email me on that, I'd be very happy to put that up there for you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yep. Any other questions? Nope, actually, we're just commenting that we could hear a train right now, so.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. It's not up here. Yeah, we'll get that taken care of. But absolutely, and yeah, I think I see a train on the other side there. So.
Well, thank you very much, Aaron. Yeah, this is a fascinating. I'll put it in my office sometimes just to see what's going on. And you're right. The comments. It's always good to see everybody chatting, and they share a shared hobby that way. So, thank you very much for partnering with the town of Ingersoll, and have a great day.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hope you guys all have a great one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Councillor Hughes, please. A train horn for you.
Yeah, quit watching trains, right? Exactly. Moved by myself, Councillor Hughes, seconded by Councillor Van Kooten-Bossens, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive live trains delegation regarding the rail cam update as information.
Discussion. To say that this is another example of sometimes things we take for granted that we can share with the world, and certainly the internet helps that. So it's again, there's Aaron does a video on YouTube that does an update, and so it's always cool to see the different trains from all over, and specifically when they show things in Ingersoll. You know, it's good to see things happen in your own community. So, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay. Now I'd like to invite the IDCI High Skills Major Girls in Sports delegation up to the lectern, please. Welcome.
Cool.
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Maggie Carter. I grew up in Ingersoll, and I actually worked for the town of Ingersoll in Rec and Leisure for 7 years doing day camps, and I survived. I'm actually back at IDCI now as a staff member, and I've had the chance to stay connected to this awesome town through that work. Despite not living here anymore. Womp womp. The students that are here today are part of a specialist high skills major program, which supports senior students, so students in grade 11 and 12, with specialized job training and experiences. These students are a part of our SHSM nonprofit education and childcare sector. And our delegation is here today because Deputy Mayor Lindsay Wilson was one of our judges at a case competition that was offered as an opportunity for them this year, and asked if they would be interested in presenting this again to council and to staff. And we thought it was an awesome opportunity, and they've never seen a town council meeting, and they certainly were not expecting to learn so much about trains this evening. So that is great already. Their presentation addresses the topic of facilities and services related to girls in sport. It's a topic that they have personal connections with through their own experiences and through their peers. It's obviously not something that they have experience from like a professional level as workers, but they do have experience just by being kids and youth in sport. So I don't want to take up any more of their time. I'm going to pass it along to the girls. They will certainly do their best to answer your questions, but this is based on a case competition that they worked hard together on honing for you over a day and then a couple of days since then. All right, thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Georgia. I'm in grade 11, and I'm very passionate about girls' track and field. It happened since a young age.
My name is Katie, and I'm going into grade 12. I play volleyball for Forest City, and I've also participated in basketball for school and ultimate frisbee, and I was a competitive Highland dancer.
My name's Haley. I'm going into grade 12 next year, and I play hockey for Woodstock Wildcats, the U18 BB team. I am a former Inferno player, but unfortunately had to leave due to lack of competitiveness, but I also play for school hockey as well, and it's my passion.
Okay, so as Ms. Carter kind of touched on, we made this presentation for a case study for something called Rule and Ready for SHSM. We got asked the question, what issue is there in our community that we feel passionate about, and our answer was about girls' sports and how we feel that there's like a lack of space and coaches and like organizations for girls' sports to succeed.
The situation, 1 in 5 girls who play sports will stop participating by adolescence, where the rate for boys is 1 in 10. In smaller communities, there's less field space, people, volunteers, buildings, and spaces.
There are many things that are important that comes with sports, like they give us lifelong friendships, they teach us how to be a part of something bigger than just ourselves, teaches us perseverance, time management skills, and it also enhances our mental well-being, as well as teaching young adults how to balance school and work life with other responsibilities and extracurricular activities.
Okay, we have a statistic here that says between the ages of 9 and 23, the rate of girls who stop playing sports decreases substantially. As many as 62% of Canadian girls are not participating in any form of sports.
Ice time. The Ingersoll Inferno team is only getting an hour a week of ice time. Without time to practice, the organization is unable to offer higher levels of teams. Ingersoll is full of so many amazing hockey players, but in order for them to reach their full potential, they need to find an organization that can offer more competitive teams, which is why we see multiple players in our area leaving to play hockey elsewhere.
Our main question for today was how can we get girls involved in sports while living in small communities?
Obviously, the goal is that we would like to see more sports teams and clubs in Ingersoll. We think that like bringing well-known athletes or people who have played higher levels of sports to like come volunteer and just like talk about their experiences would draw attention and like make people who live in like our town want to come like listen to what they have to say and see what it's about. We want to keep girls feeling inspired about sports, especially because there are professional leagues now, such as like the PWHL, that like can give girls something to look forward to with sports.
How we believe we can manage this is by looking to expand our existing teams and clubs by focusing on fundraising skills and opportunities and leveraging our community connections with known athletes.
By bringing in someone who is known and has a reputation would help draw attention to a new team or program to benefit athletes.
Ella Shelton is just an example of someone who kind of grew up around Ingersoll, who's like done well with like hockey. She's been to the Olympics. She now plays in the PWHL, and so like having her come volunteer or just like talk, which I know she's done a few things for our town, like gives people to like something to look forward to, and like it's nice to hear like her experience and her stories. Also, like just athletes who have connections with post-secondary schools can like also be a good thing to have because they can talk about their pathway to success and just like give us some other knowledge and information.
We would like to all thank you for letting us have a voice in our community, and we hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you again.
Well, thank you very much, and I couldn't detect any nervousness whatsoever. That was excellent. So great job. It's never easy to get up and talk in front of others. So thank you very much for the great presentation. Questions from council? Oh, go ahead.
I don't have a question, but ladies, good job. It is not easy. I'm going to echo his, but it's not easy. I remember my first time being on council that I was so nervous I couldn't speak. So you did very well in coming up and speaking about what you have taken and discovered within your own lives and bringing it forward to our attention. And I really appreciate you coming forward and bringing that information to us. Thank you.
Very much. Deputy Mayor Wilson, please.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. Certainly echoing what Councillor Van Kooten-Boston said, it must be so nerve-wracking to have never been in this room before and have to be up here in front of everyone sharing your experience. But it's also very easy to kind of, look at the policy and look at our agenda and forget that our residents have lived experience that we need to make sure we're listening to. So I really appreciate you kind of getting out of your comfort zone and giving this a try. It's important for young people in particular to feel like they can be empowered to tell the older people what they need. So hopefully this is not the last time, myself included. I'm including myself. You're much younger than all of us up here. And hopefully this isn't the last time we hear from you if you notice something else in the community that needs our attention.
Anybody else? Thank you very much, and I certainly, yeah, it's an important thing. It's growing up in a small town like most of us did. You know, it's always those things. We need the inspiration to know no matter where you come from, you can do big things. And certainly, we have some of those great people that you hear stories all the time that amaze me of people who come from Ingersoll and what they do, and sometimes they come back home and they can share that with their community. So certainly supportive of that, and trying to get much as opportunity as possible for everybody to be able to do what they love. That's the goal. So thank you very much. Councillor Van Koen-Bosens, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Wilson that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive IDCI High Skills Majors Delegation as information. Thank you, ladies.
Discussion. All's in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Excellent. That's those. Okay, we will return to special staff reports now.
You
And
don't want to stay in here about temporary patios?
no.
For Bill 5, get the full experience. It's free.
All right.
Sorry, I had to say that.
So now we will go on to the temporary patio program report C-028-25, and I will turn that over to our clerk, please.
Thank you so much. Final report of the evening from the Clerk's Department. This report brings forward a proposed temporary patio program for patios located on private property within the town of Ingersoll. So as background, the town has operated a program for patios on public land since 2020. However, due to changes introduced by the AGCO in 2023, municipalities are now responsible for approving temporary patios on private lands as well, specifically for businesses with liquor sale licenses or by the glass endorsements. So the proposed program provides a clear, streamlined process to ensure patios are safe, accessible, and compliant with all relevant regulations, including zoning, fire safety, building code, and AODA standards. So the policy was adopted in collaboration with the fire chief and the chief building official. Patios can operate for up to 8 non-consecutive months per year. While no building permit is required for properly zoned locations, as we're not talking about permanent patios, applicants must submit a complete application and meet defined conditions to receive approval. We're also not recommending a fee for this program, as there are no permits to be issued. Staff, as I said, from the Clerk's Department as well as fire departments and buildings will coordinate application reviews, and we are asking council to delegate approval authority to staff to support efficient processing. I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you very much. Questions of the report? Councillor Hughes, please. And Councillor Van Koen-Bosens.
Thank you. Through you to the clerk. So there's no fee for the application. Is there an approximate time that it's going to take up of the different departments that we're not going to be able to get paid for?
I anticipate, and I spoke to the CBO and the fire chief about this, we're going to have a really well laid out application form and identify all of the required information that we need up front. So it should be a pretty quick review if it meets the conditions that we've laid out in the policy, and if they are able to submit the required documentation, including a site sketch. It shouldn't take too much time. There's no inspections required, as again, they're not permitted per the Building Code Act. So it's kind of just check boxes. So if they're able to produce the required documentation, including that the AGCO approval for liquor sales already, insurance document, the site sketch, and the information that the chief building official would need to look at, it should be fairly simple to say yes, 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 and then just have a templated approval letter that we provide to them that they then provide to the AGCO.
Any further questions? Councillor Van Koen-Bosens.
Thank you. Through you to the clerk. So I can think of two establishments in our community that have permanent outdoor. So this would not pertain to them then in that respect. It would just be if there was another establishment, if there was another restaurant that had private property, then that's who this would go to then. This isn't necessarily like I'm thinking Louis and Chuck's have their own private property, and are able to do this on their own, but theirs is more permanent. I mean, they've put up glass, they've put everything out, right? So this would not obtain to them.
That is correct. So if it's a permanent structure, it has to go through the permitting process through the building department. Approval of liquor licensing for permanent patios remains with the AGCO. So it's different. It's just a different process. The approvals through the AGCO were given during the pandemic time. So you obviously had smaller seating capacity, reduced seating capacity at that time, was probably to ensure that businesses could continue to operate by allowing them to have these temporary patios, which is why the AGCO was the authority at that point in time. That's now been brought back to the municipalities, allowing us to establish specific conditions for approval of these temporary patios.
Any further questions? Seeing none, Deputy Mayor Wilson, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Bowman, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receives staff report C-028-25 as information, and that Council approve the proposed temporary patio program as attached to report C-028-25, and further that Council delegate authority to approve temporary patio requests in the Town of Ingersoll to town staff.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And that takes us down to Ingersoll Sports Hall of Fame Committee, CS-009-25. And I'll turn that over to Kyle Stevanovic, please.
This is just a brief report to council. First, I want to recognize all the great work that this committee has done, taking in every 2-year cycles, inductions into the Sports Hall of Fame. The purpose of the report is just to move the committee from being underneath the museum's umbrella to become an official committee of the town and have a council member sit on it. There's an open call for applications right now, which once the committee is established and members are approved, they will review, and then there'll be an induction ceremony this year, and then another one 2 years from now. That's the report in summary, but I'd be happy to answer any questions council may have.
Thank you very much. Questions of the report? Councillor Hughes, please.
Yeah, I know, me again. A simple question. Why now? Why bring it into a committee of council as opposed to keeping it under the museum board?
Does Danielle want to take it?
Because the clerk is a stickler for the rules. Through the mayor. So the committee was operating as a subcommittee of the Museum Advisory Board, but it didn't have members from the Museum Advisory Board, so it technically wasn't a subcommittee. And so we really need to get it established as either a true subcommittee and appoint members from the Museum Advisory Committee to that committee, or it just needs to operate as its own committee and have its own mandate. So yeah, it's my fault.
Just to add some history to that, being on the museum board, and Councillor Bowman will know as well that the museum board was more involved in it. That it kind of went to the wayside, the whole committee structure, and then it was brought back. At one time, I was chair as part of that, the Sports Hall of Fame. Then we had a group of individuals wanting to step up and do something. So it became that they became like a subcommittee, and it's just from people in the community wanting to do something. So I think this is a good step forward where we see that formalized. And then I'll turn it over for more information to Councillor Bowman as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I echo the same thing as you just said, except we still do have a little bit of a link. We still do have one of our board members who is on the Sports Hall of Fame committee. So, but yeah, as the mayor has said, it's become, the community wants to do this. They want to be a part of it. And because they're not actual board members on the museum board, then this sort of just breaks it away and makes it a separate entity. And hopefully at some point, with the new Merck Center, this could be all part and parcel.
Awesome. Sounds great that the committee is growing to that point where we're now because our clerk is a stickler, to bring it into, I'm going to say, they've gone pro. Instead of amateur status, now they're pro status.
Any further questions? Councillor Bowman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Hudson, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receives report CS-009-25 as information, and that Council approves the establishment of the Ingersoll Sports Hall of Fame Committee, a committee of council, and further that Council appoints the following member of Council to sit on the Sports Hall of Fame Committee. And I'm going to ask you, sir, if you would request a volunteer for that position. Very good.
Put her name forward.
Okay, and that Councillor Van Kooten-Bossen's be our representative, please.
Thank you very much. Discussion. I think that I have a connection. Sorry, I'll calm down here. I'm very excited. I guess I'm excited because as we just had a delegation talk about inspiration, about people wanting to be a part of their community and see what they can do, this is a great example of our Sports Hall of Fame. I have a great-great-grandfather that's in there for softball. Many other people have relatives or people they knew that are in there, and inspirations, and those stories are it's our history, but it's also we're building that history every day because we have athletes competing, and every year when you have the nominations come forward for who's going to be in there, it's always a stretch on we should put them all in, right? And that's the great thing, is that we do have great things happening. And so that we have a great group of people that want to be a part of that, and so to be able to create a committee and let them continue that work is a fantastic thing, because we do have a great sporting heritage. So I stole that from the tagline. So there you go. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, and that takes us down to our final special staff report, which is the operating budget variance, T-014-25, and I'll turn that over to our treasurer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Staff have completed a comprehensive review of the town's operations and capital project status for the 6 months ending June 30th, 2025. We investigated all variances, analyzed them, and no areas of concerns have been identified, and any variances so far have been addressed. At this time, departments are projecting to remain on budget by year end with no significant financial risks anticipated. So just in short, the figures in the operating budget to actual variance report are indicating a net surplus of $236,000. There are two areas in revenue section. So one is the building department has reported a favorable variance of $75,000. This is due to increased activity in the industrial development. And engineering department reported a $37,000 unfavorable variance in recoveries from the county. So unfortunately, this variance will continue to the end of the year. This is due to the delay of two major projects that county delayed this year. So that would impact our ability to recover 10% of the costs from the county. In terms of the expenses, we are running a favorable variance in salaries, wages, and benefits of over $120,000. Another area of that I would like to highlight is legal expenses. We are currently trending over budget by $53,000. This is strictly attributed to legal expenses that relate to the Sifton's appeals of their two planning applications. And then there is also down two studies that have been postponed from 2024, but that will not impact the year-end results because they will be funded from reserves. Other than that, there are no concerns and nothing to highlight on the operating side. And I have also prepared a list of a capital budget progress report that lists 54 projects and the status of those projects. So far we've completed 9, 16 projects are in progress. We tendered 4 projects on hold, 7 projects are on hold, and 18 have not been started, but we are projecting them to, we're expecting them to commence this year. So if council has any questions, I will be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. Questions from council? Councilor Hughes, please.
Thank you. Through you to Irina. Actually, I was just going to ask you, are any of these projects that are not started going to not be completed this year? But you said they're going to be at least started, which is great, to keep that up going. My other question is, and I'm not too certain on this whole situation, but revolving around the carbon tax. I know it was removed from the consumer side. Are we considered as consumers to that regard so that we don't have to, or we're not paying that carbon tax any longer?
We no longer pay carbon tax. I can confirm that.
So that potentially should hopefully show some, some decrease in expenditures in regards to some of the departments that are heavy on gas or natural gas or that type of thing.
Well, the utilities are trending in budget with one exception that we are investigating currently, but I can see the reduction in fuel cost. Natural gas is trending on budget. And I believe it's because we have budgeted conservatively. So on the low side, and I'm glad to see the carbon tax being canceled. But overall, utilities are trending a little bit under budget, yes.
Thank you very much. Further questions? Just to highlight that obviously this goes to 6 months, so even in the capital budget, some of those projects that are not started or whatever have progressed. So staff, I know, are actively working on trying to check off those boxes, I'm sure. So, any further questions? Seeing none, Councillor Hudson, please.
Thank you. Through you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hughes, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive report number T-014-25 as information.
Thank you very much. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, with that, we'll now go down to correspondence and resolution. The first is the Ingersoll Pipe Band Hall request concerning park fee. Deputy Mayor Wilson, do you have a motion for that? Yeah. Thank you.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Bowman, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive the correspondence from the Ingersoll Pipe Band as information, and that Council approve the request to waive the rental fee for the use of Yvonne Mott Park on Saturday, August 16th, 2025.
Thank you very much. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Next, the correspondence from the Safe and Well area update. Councillor Bowman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Hudson, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive the correspondence from Safe and Well Oxford as information.
Thank you very much. Discussion? I've been asked by the warden, who's the chair of the Safe and Well Committee, to remind everybody to try to participate fully in this. It's something that the county is spearheading, but we're all responsible for safe and well-being plans. And so to make it one for all of Oxford County, then that would be, it's efficient, but we certainly need the input from each municipality. So encourage everybody to participate in that. So Councillor Hughes?
Thank you, sorry. To make a comment to that, so that we have a full availability of information to put and forward to the CSWB plan, should we put together a small committee to get that information and forward it to them, or should we just act on this as an individual type of scenario?
I would certainly look to staff for any recommendations they would have on how best to participate, but we can always think about that as we're heading into that project. Mr. Graves, would you have any recommendations?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not entirely sure what Councillor Hughes is proposing. You're proposing a joint submission?
I think he's asking whether it would be best for councillors to participate individually or if the town would like to make submission as a joint.
I would suggest participating individually as though you're residents of Oxford County, submitting to that.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, and that takes us down to Earth Notice, a special shareholder meeting. Just before we get a resolution on that, I know there's a couple questions on this one, so I will open the floor for questions. Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens, please.
So I'm just curious as to whether or not, if we have staff that are attending, normally we would have our CAO be our voting delegate. So if we have other staff members that are participating, does that take away from councillors being able to be at the meeting as well? Or can it be 3 that are attending plus staff in that respect? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Now, from looking at the meeting date, there is a name of a designated person for casting a vote, and then there's name of attendees, which is different. Perhaps we need to seek clarification through Earth, or maybe we don't.
Attendance.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I think if we list an attendee, that's taking away from the councillor, the individuals that can attend. So, that's a choice that you'll have to make. I can attend now that they've changed the date to the 15th. So if council wants me to go to be the voting member and direct me how to vote, then I can. The only difficulty with this one is we know they want to talk about a couple topics, but we don't know the full extent of what those topics are. So it's difficult for council to direct me what to vote on those.
Mr. Graves, do you think the Earth will be providing confidential information that could be part of the August closed session? Oh, sorry, you're on mute, sir.
Yes, I believe they will be providing us some information, so we could get direction at that time. That's true.
Okay. So, and Mr. Graves, you've indicated that you would like the treasurer present at that meeting, if possible.
I think given what the topics are going to be, I think that'd be beneficial. However, we may learn enough at the closed session that we may need to, change that. But that, given that we should be able to get some information ready for the closed session, I would suggest having our treasurer be part of it. And then if we need to change that, we could advise them as we get closer to as we come out of closed session.
Okay, so maybe what we can do is we can decide, and then we have an alternate ready to go. So we've decided that this evening. If the treasurer is not needed to go, we can have an alternate ready to go to fill that space. Does that sound agreeable?
Yeah, it helps to answer my question. I just didn't, it's not that I don't want staff to attend, but if there was another council member that wanted to attend, I just wanted to make sure that they had that opportunity to be able to attend. And I know that when I've been at past meetings before, there has been a CAO or a treasurer, plus there's been council members. So that's why I'm asking the question that I am. I don't want to take away from staff because I do think that it's important for staff to attend. But I also think that it's important for council members to be able to attend if they would like to. And I know Councillor Rick and myself have been at those meetings before. I personally can't be there, but I didn't want Councillor Rick not to be able to, sorry, Councillor Hughes, not to be able to attend. I apologize. Very informal. So that's why I was asking. I'm just trying to make sure that we're covering all of our bases. So that's all. Thank you.
So with that, number 1 would be Mr. Graves, if we're following this. Number 2 would be Irina Covell. And then there would be a third. I would like to put my name forward to attend on behalf of the municipality. And then if council agree to that, then an alternate as well for the treasurer if that's deemed that they don't have to, if they're not required to attend. And I heard Councillor Hughes.
I won't be able to attend that. No.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's a Friday night, so.
Okay.
It's Friday morning.
It's at 10 a.m. on August 15th. Would anybody else like to put their name forward?
I'm just checking my calendar.
Okay.
Again,
No, that's no problem. Yes.
Yeah, I can, we need another name.
Okay, so I think that's, should give enough information for Councillor Hudson. Thank you, everybody, for the conversation, because it's...
Okay, moved by myself, thank you. Moved by myself, Councillor Hudson, seconded by Councillor Hughes, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive the correspondence from Earth as information, and that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll directs staff to advise Earth of the following members' attendance at the Earth Special Shareholder Meeting, August 15, 2025 at 10 a.m. Michael Graves, Irina Covell, Mayor Brian Petrie, and alternate Deputy Mayor Lindsay Wilson. And that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll appoint Michael Graves as the town's designate representative for the purpose of casting a vote.
Thank you very much. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. And next we will move on to Campbell Strategy Proposed Bill 5. Mr. Graves, did you want to give any information prior to a motion on that one, just for information? Thank you.
Sure. Council will recall, of course, the landfill fight that the community fought some time ago. We got the legislation changed. We have several times, especially when elections come up, have to consider whether or not we will reinstigate some of our work on the landfill fight and the legislation. Bill 5 coming out is a new thing that may open up the rules for landfills. We're hopeful that it won't, but it may. There's been quite a bit of interest across the county with both Zora, Swax, and Ingersoll and the county all being interested in this topic. And I believe that there may be some willingness for them to participate with us in this case. I've reached out to a couple of our other CAOs to ask if they would be interested in, and they're going to begin those kind of discussions. If they are, then that will help us significantly in sharing in those costs. Right now, a part of it is sort of a fact-finding case where the whole situation is inverted. We had to spend a fair bit of significant dollars to lobby to get the legislation changed, while the industry was able to spend not as much on trying to keep the legislation the same. Now that role is inverted. We need to spend less money, and the industry has to spend more to try to get it changed if they want to get it changed. So right now we're at a basic fact-finding point of how deep do we think this is going to go, and whether or not there's a concern really in reality. So that's why the proposal is only for a couple months, and at that point we'll have a better idea whether this is an issue that we need to consider longer term or if it's a non-issue. So that's why that recommendation is here. There's been quite of interest the mayor can speak to as well. both the warden and the mayor of Swax have been quite interested in this issue, have asked for a couple meetings to talk about this and have big concerns. So we appreciate their raising this issue. If we were to share in this, it would probably be something that the town of Ingersoll would lead, and we would bill out the other municipalities. I hope that sets the stage, and hopefully if council has any questions, go ahead.
Yeah, so if I can, what I can add to this is that certainly there is vast concern on my part and others within the county that we're seeing a change in direction from the province and as well as the industry on how they're lobbying. We know that Walker Industries has hired lobbyists for this exact purpose, is to change this legislation, and other companies have registered for that same purpose. What's happened in other situations in Dresden is concerning, and that the need for the studies and the environmental was gone away. And we know that the industry is pushing a narrative that is not based on fact, but based off what they would like to push, that there is not enough landfill capacity within Ontario, that it's going to be gone in the last 10 years. The same argument they've been using the last 25 years. And so we saw this at last year's AMO, that this legislation that we worked so hard to pass is a barrier to municipalities, and that it's one of the issues that, to be frankly, AMO has been using the industry language in some of their documents, and it's a concern. The residents of town and the county worked very hard to make sure this stopped. We did send a joint letter from all three mayors and the warden to the new minister, Todd McCarthy. We got a letter back saying that, yes, that legislation was passed, but there was no guarantee that that legislation would stay there. And with Bill 5, they're certainly concerned that they wouldn't even need to change the legislation. Because as we heard in the Dresden case was that, we have tariffs and we need to be able to act to make sure that people can do this. We know that Toronto has put out a request for information to see if anybody would be interested in hosting a landfill. We don't know what the results of that would be, but we also don't know the extent or how well that was prepared and the extent that they're willing to go through. We know that Ignis was chosen to hold nuclear waste, so we know that it is possible through proper consultation. You can find a willing host for lots of things. So the concern is that the industry is ramping up, and they're going to use scare tactics of what we've seen with both tariffs and information, because we know that our landfill in Oxford County is not under 10 years. So there's lots of reasons to believe that the information, in fact, the problem is with the information is you can't correlate it because there's no reference of where it came from. And so these are all concerns that we know they're ramping up lobbyists to, they've registered with the government to be able to do this. So I think that we need to be on guard and make sure, see where the actual the case is, and try to do this. So this did come from discussions with the mayors around this issue and the warden as well with Oxford County to see about what this is. Obviously, Campbell Strategies was there for the original fight, and hopefully this is the end of it. It comes up and we say, okay, there's not an interest there, whether it's locally. You know, the thing is that the important thing about that legislation is that it gives you the right to say yes or no. And I think municipalities need that information now more than ever, is that there is power in saying yes, if that's something they want to choose. If you don't have the power to say yes, you lose out on any negotiations what you have. The town of Ignis made a conscious choice where they did the pros and cons and they weighed out what was good for their community and they said yes. Other municipalities did as well, and that's their right to do so. You have the right to do it now. That may not be the case if industry gets their way. So yeah, it's sad that we have to even look at this, but we're not getting the answers from the provincial government that gives you the warm, funny feeling that they would not go down this road that would change their mind if it deemed necessary, I would say. I don't know if there's any questions. Deputy Mayor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. I'm just hoping we can back up a bit, and for the benefit of people who might be watching that have no idea what Bill 5 is, what is Bill 5 and what changes in that legislation should be concerning to residents in terms of the landfill?
Start, and certainly everybody can add. The biggest concern is that it takes away, it gives the government full power to say, a special economic zone, that the rules don't apply and any rules they want apply. It's kind of a carte blanche card that's very scary because it takes away those safeguards that are put in place, those environmental assessments, different things that are put into planning and different legislation that make sure something is really what we want to do. And, you know, those are things that we should all be very concerned about. Landfills, nuclear waste, whatever it is, this is not puppy dogs and rainbows. And it doesn't matter if it's, no matter what it is, it could have great economic benefits or it could have environmental degradation. And we know from our fight that certainly we do not want a landfill placed upon an aquifer of fractured limestone because there's an economic benefit to it. So certainly please do, but these are things that unfortunately I will say it's poor policy because you're only looking at the benefits of something and not the negative of it. And it's it could have drastic consequences for not only our municipalities but others. But it also could take away the right to somebody. We talk about municipal finances. You know, they could have the choice to say yes, we want that, and we want to negotiate a fair deal for a municipality to do that. That may be able to be taken away from somebody.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. So the letter references a group discussion, which I'm assuming was SWACS, Zora, and Oxford County. So as part of that discussion, were there any agreed upon next steps as a collaborative, like to prepare for AMO jointly or to commit to the same tactics? Like what I don't want is for Ingersoll to say, you know, we're going to do this whether people join us or not, and then we kind of duke it out for what's the right tactic because we have not agreed on a strategic approach as a group.
Yeah, certainly with that discussion, it was, we didn't want this to happen. Everybody was in agreement, we don't want this to happen. Oxford County already have a delegation status at AMO with the ministry, and certainly they've been something that, I don't know if the mayor of Zora's or SWACS is going, but I will be there through Oxford County, the warden will be there. This is a joint thing of the same message of we want this legislation to stay the same. We want to make sure that the rights that were fought for will be upheld and that we won't see that image, that those powers that were approved by the province used in any of that situation. I can say that there was no disagreement whatsoever at the meeting. Yep.
Sorry, just a follow-up. I'm speaking more to not just the efforts to work collaboratively, but the financial commitment to see this through. The town of Ingersoll taxpayers footed the bill last time extensively, and everybody benefited from that. And I know people would say that was money well spent, but now that we're in this position and those relationships have been built and the trust has been built, I feel like that financial commitment from everybody needs to be there because it keeps everybody committed to that same message. Otherwise, it's too easy for someone to say, I don't agree with that, and we're going to go do this. And then our message doesn't work because, two municipalities are saying this and Ingersoll is saying this based on what we're hearing from Campbell Strategies. So personally, for me, I would only go down this path if there's a tactical commitment and a financial commitment from every partner involved. Otherwise, in my opinion, there's a lot of risks associated with what that looks like.
Yeah, and right now, with the timeframes that between the meeting and this and getting those conversations I know Mr. Gray's having with the different CAOs, I think, and I agree with you that we spent disproportionately a lot of money as a town, but regardless of, I think there's a very good chance the others will come on board. But regardless, I think for Ingersoll's sake, we need to spend the money, and hopefully others will see that that's a good deal. Gaining the experience that we had with Campbell Strategies and what they did for our community, I sense that was there. I think that people were at the table, but again, I'm not going to speak for another council or anything like that. They'll have to make that decision, but I think there is a willingness to do that. But I think at the end of the day, I guess it's the same thing as before, whether who pays the bill at the end of the day is us at the end of the day, regardless if we have a landfill here. And I think that $16,000 would be money well spent if we get back with the answer is that we're confident that it's not going to happen. And if it comes back and it's not confident, then we may have to spend more. But yeah, I think the community spoke loud and clear last time. This is not something they wanted to proceed whatsoever. I would hope that that would be the case, that they would come on board. But again, there's been no commitments yet, and I can't speak on behalf of other councils. Councilor Van
And I would agree with you. I know I was part of the council at the time when we brought on Campbell Strategies, and they helped us to fight that landfill. Whether or not we have the partners at the table, we can't sit by. If we sit by and we allow that Bill 5 to come in and we didn't fight, to me, that's wrong for us. That's my own personal opinion. I think that we need to be committed financially, whether or not we have partners. I would hope that the other municipalities will step up as well with us. And from what I've read, from what they've said, I think that they will. But again, they have to make those decisions. So for me, I would totally support us if it came down to it that we take on the cost by ourselves, then we take on the cost by ourselves. Because I think that we have to fight this Bill 5 so that it doesn't take away our right to say no, that we don't want a landfill right next to us. So those are my thoughts. I stand behind you, Mayor, in that respect. And I hope that we can stop Bill 5 from going forward with the help from Campbell Strategies. Again, they were very good to us the first time, and I have nothing but high regard for them in that respect. So those are just my thoughts.
Any further, or we're ready for, no, Councillor Hudson, please.
Thank you, through you. I just have a question. When Campbell Strategies did this fight last time, and were there recommendations at that point that they said we should do in future to keep this from perhaps becoming a landfill again? And did we follow any of those recommendations?
I can state to that yes, there were, like, every time there's been a change in government, there's been an attempt to make sure that they were still on board with that legislation. And that's where this came from again, is that there is a new Minister of Environment, and so that letter was sent after the last election to be sure to see if they were still committed through that. Bill 5's passage didn't help that situation whatsoever, because that's a game changer. It gives them a different ability of, instead of going through legislation to change it, they now have a tool that they can go around legislation to use that. So certainly, I know staff has always been on the radar to look out for things that were coming, because we knew the industry was not going to go away, that this was something that could always be there. But I will leave it to Mr. Graves to elaborate more on that.
Yeah, I can't think of anything specific that they said that we could do to change things. We were hopeful that the requirements of environmental assessments would increase over time, as they normally do. So we were hopeful if they were to go through that process in the future, that those environmental assessments would be more strict, and that might push them to not be allowed because they're too close to an urban center. However, given Bill 5 and the rules that it states that the province can just overrun any environmental assessments or any EISs or conservation authorities, that doesn't help us in this case, because they could just override that. So that was the only thing we were really hopeful for, that we could change in the future, so that we guarantee that it doesn't come.
Councillor Hughes?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Yeah, it is quite concerning with Bill 5. I know there are other aspects to Bill 5, not just the ability of the minister to just basically bypass all of those checks and balances. But this is in front of us. This is our concern, because it affects us the most. And this is what we need to be concentrating on. Totally appreciate the Deputy Mayor's position in regards to the amount of money that we spent Ingersoll spent to ensure that the landfill didn't show up. But at the same time, as Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens stated, it's a fight that we need to fight. We do have some sort of verbal agreement that we will have that other support from the other municipalities, but ultimately, we still need to ensure that we obtain and we keep the right to say yes or no with a landfill that could be developed within 3.5 is it, I believe, kilometers of the town boundary. That is our fight. So if we would unfortunately have to pay for the full ride, which would be $16,000 times 2 for 2 months, 8 weeks worth of work from Campbell Strategy, then I think it's $32,000 well spent. And if we can, I'm holding the motion here and I'm listening to the deputy mayor and I'm thinking, well, maybe we should put some direction here for staff to say that if the other municipalities aren't going to come on tactically and monetarily, then we say no. Then we're going to be back here in 8 weeks going, we need to fight this fight, we need to bring this on, and then it potentially could be set us back 2 months or that much more money. So I'll read the motion as it's already been set up here, not right now until the mayor calls it, but I think that that's something that we need to, regardless of what direction we should put in there, that we will foot the bill if we have to.
Okay. Yeah, and just to the fairness to the other municipalities, there's been no commitment to funds. That's the discussion that's ongoing because Mr. Grays will tell you that this, time the conversation and requesting something from Campbell Strategies, that time frame is so short that to get it on the agenda, that they take time to have conversations. So that's why. But those are ongoing conversations. Yeah, I can tell you that from our neighbor's perspective, that I was very encouraged by them and their comments. Like, there was a different scenario last time where Zora was a proponent. There was a planning application, there was an application before them, those sort of things. So there was collaboration, but it makes it harder to do sometimes when there's different things, those active things going on. But now that there's not, certainly Oxford County recently passed, put through a motion at county, in conversations with the warden to show that because Oxford County never passed anything that said they were opposed to the landfill because it was never for them. But we made sure that happened, and that gave the right for the warden to come and onto the fight. So I think that it's part of our advocacy program there. That's why the delegation was made on the behalf of Oxford County as well, and the letter sent on behalf of all the municipalities. So I think the commitment from our neighbors is there, and I think hopefully they'll see the benefit of working through with what happened with Campbell Strategies before and what they bring to the table. Anything further else? Councillor Bowman first, and then Deputy Mayor Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to echo the comments from Councillor Hughes and Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens. I think we said when we got through this fight that we were going to monitor it, keep an eye on it, make sure we could do everything we could to not make this happen or allow this to happen again. I want to respect all the people that stood behind us when we fought that main fight, the taxpayers. We foot the bill, yes. Did we win? Yes. And I think it would be a discredit to them if we drop the ball now when we're seeing this on our horizon and allow this to happen. So I think that, it would be nice to have the commitment financially from the other municipalities, but we need to respect our people that stood behind us when we fought the fight and make sure that we continue to fight.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. So just a question of the treasurer, and I asked earlier, so I don't think I'm putting her on the spot, but how much money have Ingersoll taxpayers paid to Campbell Strategies for the Demand the Right Coalition work over the years?
You have put me on the spot, but I will have to do email, sorry. I think it was roughly $720 or $30,000. Yes. Yes, since the beginning, since 2017, I believe, or 18.
Anything else? Councillor Hughes.
Thank you, Mayor. Moved by myself, Councillor Hughes, seconded by Councillor Van Kooten-Bosens, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive the correspondence from Campbell Strategies regarding Bill 5 updates as information, and that Council approve Campbell Strategies' proposal in response to Bill 5. And further, that Council direct staff to engage partner municipalities to share in the cost of the Bill 5 response, with direction that the town will bear the full cost of the effort if no other municipalities agree to the cost-sharing proposal. And further, that Council authorize the cost associated with the Bill 5 response be funded from the tax stabilization reserve, but only if the town is in a year-end deficit position.
Thank you. Discussion? Deputy Mayor Wilson.
Through you, I won't be supporting the motion because I think this requires a full commitment from everybody at the table, financially and tactically. And when we say we will fund it, whether they participate in or not, there's no motivation for those councils to make the financial commitment, because we've already said on paper we're going to do it whether you agree or not. So those councils don't have much motivation to chip in because they know we're going to pay the bill and do the work whether they come along for the ride or not. So I know there will be a collaborative approach, and I know those conversations have been happening, and I know the mayor and staff have built strong relationships with those partners, but I still think we should be expecting that financial commitment, because we're in a different position of changing legislation again. I know Councillor Bowman said we don't want to drop the ball. The town of Ingersoll did not drop the ball, the province did. And they should be the ones bearing the brunt of the decisions they have made, and not the town of Ingersoll continuing to foot the bill for their mistakes on this one and others. And so I won't be supporting it, but for those who are continuing to support it, I would encourage for this motion to be circulated to the councils so they can have those discussions at the council table and not just in the informal meetings happening between heads of council.
Thank you very much. Further discussion? Councillor Hughes.
Thank you. Totally respect your position, Deputy Mayor. But again, like I mentioned earlier, if it's a scenario where the other municipalities don't even want to come on board, then at that point in time, we don't have to talk to them. We can move ahead with what we want to do, and to have $720,000 spent with it already to keep it away. If it costs us $32,000, whether it's the cost borne from other municipalities or whether it's just us, then I think it's money well spent. And at the end of the day, if the others want to take credit, we can call them out on it.
So this is the rhetoric that I don't like to see happen. It doesn't build good neighbors. We have trust built up with our neighbors because we're in the same fight over this. And we have understanding of what their needs are and what our needs are. I think that those conversations just didn't happen yet. And I think that, we get in these situations where, I think we have to go in this with open hearts, that people are there for the right reasons, and I know they are. And that, we have to have those conversations to show them the value that I know that Campbell Strategies brings to the table. Yes, we did spend $750,000 on them, but we got the results we wanted when everybody said it was impossible to happen. The province did pass legislation, and they do have to have responsibility for it. That may not stop a landfill coming from us, but us doing everything we can has proven that it will stop a landfill from coming. And certainly in my other terms of council, I never heard one resident say it was a waste of money. It was money well spent. I can certainly commit. I know Mr. Graves is having conversation with his counterparts at the staff level And I certainly commit to having those conversations with the colleagues at the other municipalities as well, as they move forward too. You know, the county didn't have to ask for a delegation status at AMO. They could say this is an Ingersoll problem. Everybody's stepping up on this to say that we recognize this is not something we want in our community. This is not what we need, and this is not the outcome that we want. So with that, I will call a recorded vote. Request a recorded vote. So. Okay, sorry, just, is there any further discussion? Councillor Hughes, please.
Just actually a quick question to the, I guess the deputy mayor or to staff. Should we put in the motion that this motion be, or this document be forwarded to the other municipalities associated with this, if we want to call it the fight?
I would ask that this is public documents, and we are going to have those conversations. It is in the motion that we ask them to fund this. You know, how that's done, whether it's through staff level, staff can agree to doing that if they have a budget for something, or they're going to have to, the same thing, go to their councils and ask for it and have that conversation there. Okay. This is our CAO did. He didn't have the budget, so he's come here with this proposal for us to talk about. Sure. Perfect. No problem. Deputy Mayor Wilson.
Thank you. Through you to Councillor Hughes. I could support the motion if this was going to be circulated to the other councils, and we had the opportunity to see the same public conversation from other councils. So I don't know whether you feel comfortable adding that or you'd like an amendment, but I think if I could see other municipalities participating in the conversation publicly, I could probably support the motion in that regard.
Is that doable? Is that something that, as you said, they're already having those conversations, but they're really not having them in public? I guess question to the mayor.
Well, whether it's on the motion or not is up to council, but I know those conversations are taking place. If their staff don't feel that it's warranted, then they're not going to make a recommendation that they join. If the head of councils don't feel it's warranted, they're not going to support that at the time. It's up to each individual municipality to decide yes or no. It's not up to the mayor to decide. If the CAOs are most likely going to have to go to council ahead of time to be able to do that. I don't know if Mr. Graves has anything to...
Yeah, no, we definitely will proceed to ask our counterparts to participate. Appreciate that clause that's in the resolution currently. And we're already starting to have those discussions. I don't think they're surprised by us having those discussions. And I agree with the mayor. If they have budgetary room to handle those kinds of things, it may not have to go to a full-blown council, but if they don't, then it quite likely would end up in front of their council for consideration. So I'm not sure where that will go for each of them.
So my question would be, and this is to the deputy mayor, if we put into the motion that it goes to their councils, is that before or like, are you proposing that we take out that we're going to bear the full cost? Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm understanding how you would support it in that respect. Because, I mean, what if it does go to their councils? We're now in July. We have AMO in August. We need to have Campbell Strategies already fact-finding and finding out the information before we get to AMO. Is there enough time? I don't know when other councils meet. I'm sorry, I don't have that knowledge in my own head. but is there enough time for formal discussions for every council to have? And so is this doable in that respect? Or are we, like, I mean, we circulate information to other councils. Is that what you're asking? Is just the information to be circulated to other councils and then they do what they want with it?
Through the mayor. I was thinking more what you said at the end, because as the CAO said, those councils and those CAOs will have to make the financial decisions, however the process will allow them based on the timeline that we have. But if this was at least circulated for information, everybody on those councils would be privy to the discussions that are happening, which I'm not sure is currently the case. And that's not a bad thing. I just think everybody deserves the opportunity to see kind of the efforts that are happening and the opportunity for dialogue amongst their councillors and ours. So I'm not suggesting we need to wait until it goes to council and gets approved. Those financial decisions are for them to make. But if the information was circulated to them, even for discussion or correspondence, and they just receive it as information, that's all I would really ask.
Sorry, we didn't make that clear. My apologies.
So that'll read,
It wasn't prepared by the clerk.
So,
and further that this motion be forwarded to other councils, Zora Township, Southwest Oxford, and the County of Oxford.
okay. Discussion on the amendment. Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And back to the original, sorry, the amended motion. Further discussion on the amended motion. Seeing none, I'll call the clerk to call the vote, please.
Pardon me. Okay, so Mayor Petrie,
Yay.
Councillor Van Kooten-Bossens.
Yay.
Councillor Hughes,
Yay.
Councillor Hudson, Councillor Bowman,
Yay.
and Deputy Mayor Wilson.
Yay.
That is carried.
Thank you. And you have the. Thank you. I'll sign that one. Okay, and that takes us down to the Ingersoll Lions Club request. Councillor Van Kooten-Bossens.
My apologies. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Wilson, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll receive the correspondence from the Ingersoll Lions Clubs as information, and that Council approve the club's request to close Yvonne Holmes Mott Park for one additional day on August the 21st, 2025, in preparation for the Good for the Soul Music Festival.
Discussion. Questions? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, that takes us to bylaws. And Deputy Mayor Wilson, go into committee of the whole on the bylaws, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Bowman, that the mover have leave to introduce and go into committee of the whole on following bylaws. Bylaw 25-5398, parking bylaw. 2, bylaw 25-5399, amend zoning bylaw number 04-4160 as amended. 3, bylaw 25-500, amend zoning bylaw number 04-4160 as amended. 4, bylaw 25-401, July confirmatory bylaw. Council and committee of the whole, Mayor Petrie and the chair. On motion, the bylaws are accepted as circulated.
Thank you. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We're now in committee of the whole. Would anybody like to discuss any of the bylaws? Seeing not, Councillor Hudson, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hughes, that the committee do not rise out of committee of the whole.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And Councillor Bowman, third reading, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Hudson, that that bylaws 25-5398 to 25-5401 be now read a third time, passed, signed, and sealed, and that this constitutes the third reading of the bylaws.
All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And just before we get the adjournment, I've provided the clerk already a documents required through the straw mayor powers that I will not be vetoing any of those bylaws. So that's required. So, and with that, Councillor Hughes.
Thank you, Mayor. Moved by myself, Councillor Hughes, seconded by Councillor Van Kooten-Bossens, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ingersoll adjourn the July 14th, 2025 regular meeting at 8:35 p.m.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Enjoy the sunshine. It's one of the last meetings we'll have when it's still light out.